No team this year, huh? No team rodeo for us.
Man, what's up with that? I guess, why aren't they, maybe they moved the PBR finals?
Something's booked over it. Yep.
Yeah.
Something. I don't remember what, but yeah.
It kind of, I mean, that's kind of the first, it's like, oh, we're pretty restricted on how many arenas we'll be able to do this in.
Yeah, exactly. That showed us is what it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's a gig.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it brings more to rodeo. You know what I mean?
What I liked about it was being in a room full of experts, world champions, and everybody had multiple world titles like yourself, and listening to everyone's opinion on how it should go and how quickly y'all would skip ahead to, that's not going to work because of this.
Yeah.
I wish I had an example.
Well, you know, it's almost like getting a recipe from somebody and thinking if you put your twist on, it's going to be better. Hold on. We may need your twist instead of my twist.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Put your twist on it. Let's go with it, and it's going to taste better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of how it rolled through. It was kind of neat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was neat. I was fascinated watching the timed events.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a roughie, like with my content, I've never made fun of timies because I'm always, I mean, there's like some jokes where we rib each other.
Sure.
But that's not at all what I've ever hung my hat on because like I just, as a cowboy, I realize just how handy an average calf roper is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Just go rope one, tie one down the doctor, and you'll figure it out quick that, hey, this shit ain't easy.
Yeah. 54 seconds later, you're like, man, they're doing that how fast?
But it's so cool when they go together.
Yes.
You know, when you go together, I mean, like I tried to figure out a way for snow fence down the middle and buck them at the same time. You know what I mean? Or at least buck one, and as soon as they pick him up, buck the guy he's against, so people's minds see it and they get a feel for that guy look better. You know what I mean? But it's hard. It's hard. It is. I get it.
Yeah, it's the timed events. Like you guys, I don't know. I was saying it on a podcast the other day. I think the most cowboy in the arena is like head to head with the pickup man and calf ropers in the arena, just as an observation.
Yeah.
Like those two guys, like they can probably, out of any event, those two hands in the arena can probably do the most damage on a ranch when it comes to.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
The capabilities, but.
Yep.
We were just talking about when you walked in the early days of Vegas. You've been coming out here a while.
39 years.
Dang.
I've been here 39 times in December. Isn't that crazy?
Dang.
Either roping or doing TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nuts. And it's so, you know, lifestyles were different then. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
We had a lot of fun with Vegas. You know, I remember the first, time I rolled over the hill, and when I went, now that first year, boy, them old timers, none of them people, they were not for Vegas. You know, they were, I can't believe you don't get to go to Oklahoma City, boy, it's not even going to feel. I'm like, hey man, I don't give it. It's got to be more fun in Vegas, you know? I'm 19 years old. I'm going to have fun in Vegas. And I remember topping the hill, seeing all the lights, thinking, Oklahoma City, this is where I belong, you know?
I bet it didn't take long.
Oh, dude, and back then, there's a lot of things now. There's a lot more trouble. People get, a lot more trouble for a lot less than we did back then that we didn't get in trouble for. And we had a blast. I mean, we rode, it was still, like I had a dear friend of mine that I used to hang out with, and, he run part of Caesars. And then we got it, there was a guy, our good friend, that had a bar in the Mirage with his name on it. And we run with him after that. We just run the shadows, and after the rodeo, there was a place called the Beach, and the Beach didn't close, and it was a bar, and it was a good one. And I mean, at any night, you could probably, out of each event, find at least 5 of the top 15 in there till daylight.
Wasn't it the Beach and the Gold Coast?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, the Gold Coast where they gave the buckles away back then. What I do now at the South Point, Michael had back then when he owned the Gold Coast. And everybody would leave there, and man, I'm telling you, dude, that beach it was getting it. It was fun. And there'd be limos parked out, all down the street. We'd load them up and go. We'd go till daylight. You know, there wasn't all the back then. There wasn't all the autograph deals. There wasn't the sponsors. You know, you didn't owe anybody nothing the next day. I mean, you just slept till you woke it up and slept it off, and you went at them.
Yeah, there wasn't as many of the extra stuff going on during the day.
There was zero. Back then, nobody had sponsors. You know, I mean, we had an agent named Sam Applebaum. He's dead now, but we had an agent. Me, Ty Tuff, Jim Sharp, Jake and Clay, Charmaine, and maybe Rick Chapman, who was a bullfighter. I think that was the 7 or 8 we had. That was the first endorsement deals that I ever knew. We all got together. We signed with him. He said, I'm going to sell y'all as a group. Like I remember we had Acme boots, all of us, for the same money. We had Wrangler or whatever it was back then, all of us, you know, same deal. Now as it gone later, you know, Ty got more, I got more, whatever, you know, whoever. But back then there was just that. And that didn't start till like 94, 5?
Dang.
3, you know? So those first years out here, man, you sponsored yourself. So when we got done, we'd go to the bar and we'd gamble and we'd drink.
You didn't have anybody to answer to.
No, sir.
Yeah.
And didn't want nobody to answer to.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the main reason for the segregation between roughies and timies is literally just proximity.
Yep.
The buck and shoots are on this end, timed events. That's the layout of 90% of the arena.
That's right.
You know, because we need the, you know, and for the flow of the rodeo, you're sorting stock while this event's going on. You're sorting this stock while the other event's going on. And so we all get, and I grew up a roughie because I couldn't rope. And, but, you know, when you think back, like talking to roughies, like you named like Tuff and Lane and all those guys, like, you were right there in the middle of their story. Like,
oh, yeah. Hey, man, I pulled Tuff Edelman's rope with 4 of the guys helping me because you couldn't pull it tight enough, you know?
Right.
I mean, I pulled his rope one time, I think it's Salt Lake in the slack, you know, because he had one, he said, I ain't turning him out, I'm winning second and third on him. You know, and they may have had 20 in the slack, 4 got on, 2 permit guys, some guy they never heard of, and Tuff Edelman. And he's 88 points, win second, you know?
I guess in my head, like, I've always thought of like yourself as a legend, and I think of like Tuff Hedeman as a legend, and then but sometimes I forget like no, they were at the same rodeo.
Yeah,
they were at the
we
same,
were.
They were at the,
hey, we flew a lot together because I flew a lot. You know, I mean, like I would send a driver. I had a driver and a horse a lot. You know, I flew a lot, so I got to go a lot with the guys. You know what I mean? And you know, man, I say this too, dude. And you think about it. How lucky was I, man? I rodeo with the best of ever from that. Tom Murray, Louis Field.
Yeah.
You know, I rodeo with the kings on that end, you know? Yeah. I rodeo with Trevor King on the other end. But I rodeo with those guys. And now I get to see Stetson and Wasey, the kings of that end, coming back. So, man, I've had the best seat in the house, dude, for a long time. Yeah.
Well, and you also got to spend time around Super Looper.
Oh, yeah. Lots of time, dude. Lived with him.
It you know, over the years got, you know, I was only acquainted with the man, better friends with Tuff, but it was crazy to me as I learned more and more about, you know, timed events, the foundation that he laid.
Oh, he put it all down. When I got in, I'll be honest, when I got in '85, he had already won all his championships. Well, we didn't know that he'd already won them all by then. But let me tell you something, man. Everybody was scared of him in the time events. You know, in the if you're up steers or you grew up tie down, Kez, they almost like, you know, Guy Allen wasn't scared of course, and was chirping, and Sean Burchett, rest in peace, was a badass, you know. But those two, but all in tie down world, they were like, Roy was 9, so we're all gonna be 10. Roy was 7, we can be his 8. And I didn't know no better. I was like, BS, you know, I want to be that guy, you know. So I was lucky enough to get that. I moved up there. The year I got my card, I moved up there in October. I was 18 years old. I guess 18 or 19, whatever.
What year?
And this has been 84. When I filled my permit, I moved in with him in 84. And Clay Tom, his brother, and Clay Tom's my man. I love Clay Tom, man. He taught me more than anybody because me and him drove a lot, and Roy flew everywhere. You know what I mean? He'd meet us. But I moved up there with Roy, and I'll be honest, a lot of the they can blame it all on him or whatever. But it wasn't all him. I was already half bad anyway and wanted to be that way, you know. But we had so much fun. That dude was like rodeoing with Elvis. You know, he picked a phone up at a rodeo and we get done and call the Colorado Mining Company in Denver. And he had a world champion saddle sitting in the front door. And he'd call him and say, hey, man, we'll be there in an hour and 40. Keep it open. Keep it open, baby. We're on our way. Hey, we get on a charter plane where we was at and fly to Denver and they'd cook us a steak and shut the doors, and whoever they kept in there for the bar, we'd party till 5 or 6 o'clock, go back, get on that plane, fly back for Slack the next morning. You know, it was just a different life. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's right by no means, but I am so glad that I got to live and rodeo and come to Vegas when Vegas was still pretty much Vegas, not the Vegas it is today. You know, I mean, you can go find old Vegas still, but back then, old Vegas found you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You couldn't avoid it.
No, sir. And hell, you didn't want to avoid it.
Right.
You know, I ran to it. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. The transition. I haven't thought about how there would be pushback to people, and I can see it, the rodeo coming here.
Oh, it was, I'm telling you, that first year, man, when they, you know, Sean Davis was the deciding vote. It was tied. And when they said, you know, Vegas, I was like, yeah, I mean, the old people, you know, they're not, I shouldn't say the old, the diehard Oklahoma City National Finals, it was there, locked in, nothing else. They were just plumb butthurt about it. You know, they act like you wouldn't even go to the finals and you're going to Vegas. That ain't Oklahoma City. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, it added, obviously, the fun element. Then number 2, all the money that would come from the casinos. But it seems like there is it gives it the Super Bowl feel.
Oh, for sure.
No offense to Oklahoma City.
For sure. After they had it here or we were here, how could you can't go anywhere else. I mean, this is it.
What's the stat of, you know, because Thompson Mack is 18.5 fit in there. So if all 10 nights, that's different people each night, which it's not. That's 100.
Yeah, but I bet it is. I bet there's a 3-day turnover.
Yeah,
I bet you. So you're talking a lot of people. You're right.
So so let's say it's all different people, 180,000. But isn't it like 500,000 come to Vegas for the NFL?
Hey, the other day they did. You know, it's 40 years. So they're doing this stuff with us, 40-year champs, right?
Right.
So we had a press conference the other day, and one of the guys, I can't remember if it was motel and food guy or city council guy, whatever the deal, got up and said, brings in, but not the rodeo, but all the people that come in, you know, for the rodeo and all the other activities, over 300 million.
Golly.
Not counting the rodeo, not counting the
Thompson Mack.
Yes, sir.
Actual,
they
happening.
said, you know, like convention center, shopping, restaurant, and entertainment, and something else was 300 million by itself.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just don't see a number like that. I don't see 500,000 people going to Oklahoma City.
I mean, neither. First of all, what the hell are you going to do?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Go to dinner. That's it.
Yeah, and that's another thing that's really cool now. You know, when we first came out here in 85, 86, probably till about 92, I think, or 91, Del Frisco's or pick one, Golden Steer, Joe's, whatever the nice, not closed, Holidays. They closed. You'd go down to your room. You get off the elevator. They'd be recarpeting every hallway, every direction.
When you first got here?
Yeah, because it was a downtime for Vegas.
Oh.
Ain't no cabs be half the number. No entertainers at night. No. You know the staples that were here. Like let's say George was here for all year. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be here that month. He'd be home.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. There was nothing. Vegas was almost closed down that time of year. And look at it now.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah. It's all but closed down. So during that time, did y'all, my dad used to tell me about, and he's passed, otherwise I'd ask him, but he worked a long time for Charlie Thompson.
Sure.
Didn't y'all stop in at that winter series a lot?
Yeah, in Lubbock.
Okay, because I thought he told me that whenever.
Yeah. Hey, here's the deal. It was hard to find places. You know, like one year I bought a horse right there in end of October, 1st of November. Well, after Kansas City, there was nowhere to go, you know? And I remember going there to ride them to make sure in that little building over there, that little building they used to have it at.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the fairgrounds buildings, that little building over there on the fairgrounds.
Yep.
And I remember going over there to run one that perf just to see if I made sure I had a good enough horse, take the crowd, take the bull, you know, all the BS before I came out here.
He told me one winter he remembered, you know, because they put on a rodeo, but then also, for some reason in my head, I'm picturing it like a slack scenario. I don't know, but it might have been the perf and there's not a lot of people there, just him telling the story. But it was like 12 of the 15 guys that were at the NFR were at that deal.
Yeah, getting tuned up, man. It was a little building and it was quick and it was a Charlie stout ass calves, you know. And so it was a good place to go get tuned up. I can remember Raymond Hollabaugh going, you know, I can remember Daryl Lambert going by there. And there was a ton of that was a tune-up spot. It wasn't easy either. It was tough. It was tough. But see, I think to me, that's one thing I think today's guy, and I think it's both ends of the arena, and, you know, you might disagree, but, you know, I can remember being at, let's say, Edna, Texas, little rodeo, right? Mac had it, added $500 or whatever. But I can remember, like, if Tough wasn't riding good, you know, or let's say in the bareback riding, you know, I can remember one time in the bareback riding that I remember, I don't remember if it was Clint, Corey, I can't remember who it was, but somebody on a Friday night. And I'm like, what the, you know, man, I need to get on. You know, them guys today, they don't do that. It's for big money every time. And it's great because they get to do that. But in the time event they're open, I think that's one thing that separates the crew of the 7 or 8 that you watch every night that you think that you're going to win, and the ones you don't know if they're going to win. Because if it was 2 for $100 on Wednesday night, hey, we went there, then we went to the bar. We went there to tune ourselves up because guess what? Those guys didn't give two who you were. They'd beat your and go tell everybody, you know.
Yeah.
And I think we've lost a little of that Lubbock, a little of Charlie's rodeo. You know what I mean? That grit and tough to go figure out how to win.
My mentor in the bronc riding, like, there come a point where I just stopped listening to everybody except one person. And it was even after my dad died, and that was one of the reasons. Like, and it was Jacob Scrawley.
Yep.
And he has always been exactly how you just described. Like, he's never been above any rodeo. He'll go to an AMI, he'll go to the stockyards, and he'll tune up anywhere. Now that he's had a back surgery, he does like to kind of be a little more selective.
There comes a time you have to.
For sure.
You know, I was the same way, but that's what also gives a guy, I think, the ability to win when he has to. Because if you go, you know, let's say we take right now, and just for an example, and he gets on practice bulls to make sure he was ready, but let's say we took Stetson to Pahrump, Nevada to the amateur road. You think everybody there ain't going to be watching? You're going to try harder there than you are to Thomas and Mack because
that's true.
You're supposed to win first there, and you're supposed to dominate that bull. Over here, hey, anybody can get bucked off, right? But that part of it right there, I think, is what made those guys so damn tough.
That's a good point. Yeah, I was helping. I helped Kai buck practice bulls like maybe 4 times before we came here. He went to a few like little team deals. I don't know how many random but he got on a ton of practice stock before he came. But you guys probably practiced all the time also.
We roped too much probably, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, and here's the deal, it's different life, you know, different. But I had guys live with me like Mike Arnold, you know, Fred Whitfield, man. I had Randy Dearleman, David Bowen, all live with me when I was single and stuff. And man, we roped. I mean, if we were home during the week, you know, we'd go eat at night. We'd probably go to the bar. It closed at 12. I was in a college town back then. You know, back then Huntsville closed at 12. We'd shut the bar down and we'd go home and we'd turn the lights on and we'd rope till daylight. You know what I mean? We overdid it. And I've had a lot of surgeries probably because, and the calves were big, you know, and they took their toll. But I figured every time that I was after them, I was keeping somebody from getting better than me. You know, I remember I had my weight set up in my trophy room in my house after we got married and stuff. And I'd go in there and Jenna asked me, why you want it in here? I said, because if I shut this door and look around, that's shit everybody's trying to take from me. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's, you know, the guys that practice a lot, even today, like Caleb and Junior, you know, I have to tell him, hey, I don't tell him, I give my opinion. You know, hey guys, back off. You don't need 60 or 70 a day before you go to the finals anymore. But a winner's mentality and a winner's drive like that, it's hard to stop it.
How much of it do you think is guys knowing they've been to 14 NFRs and they're sincerely trying to hone their craft that much more, or is it someone a little maybe scared or insecure that they've lost a step?
I think it's a mix of both. I think you just hit the nail on both sides. I think part of it is, hey man, I've been here this many times. I know what it takes. I can get sharper. And then part of it is, hey, I've been here 16 times, 14 times. I need to make sure I'm doing the best so I don't not come back. You know? I think it's both. I think it's both sides. Hey, just like Kai though. Kai gets on practice bulls. Why? He don't want he wants to be sharp when he gets here. Mm-hmm. You know, but also that's why he just, on his example, that's why he came out of the hospital, got on 2 that day, and wins the world championship. Because guess what? It's a winner's heart. Mm-hmm. You know, my mom used to tell him all the time, say, hey man, if he dies, check him because his heart might be beating a little bit longer and he might get up, you know?
Check him, double check him.
Yeah. It's kind of like when I OD'd, man. I woke up and they're like, hey, what town are you in? What's your mother's maiden name? And what's your social security number? And I looked down and I said, hey, my heart's still beating. I'm good. I know all the answers. Let me up.
Yeah. One thing, it seemed like listening to my dad talk about those times, I've gotten to interview Tuff and Jim and Ty and some of those guys. I don't know if they just don't want to tell the stories or if maybe there just wasn't as much fighting as everyone thinks there was back then.
There's a lot of fighting. There was a lot. I'm telling you, there was a lot. And it wasn't just the Bulldoggers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, don't think Larry Sandvik wouldn't hit you right on the end of the nose right quick. You know, and I could name 14 more. Yeah, there was nobody took any. The things they get away with now, I'm talking about the contestants, both ends of the arena. You know, I see a lot of it because I still go a lot, you know, little and have enjoyed, but I like to watch. You know, I like to watch the changes. The stuff they get away with today, they'd have had their nose broke when the first 10 years I was in. They just stopped it. And it would have been Tuff Hedeman would have stopped it.
Like what kind of behavior do you mean?
You know, there's a lot of sarcasm. There's a lot of mouth running the mouth, not in a fun way. To, get a kind of a vindictive way. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of guys try to pull stuff. On trades, on the time of it trades, trying to hook a guy out of a deal to get a better run. Try to get there and set things up better for themselves. That didn't happen. First couple years I got in, I saw quite a few fights. Like a lot. And I'm not talking about just the bar. I'm talking about some guys that it didn't work at the rodeo and they worked it out.
Yeah.
But back then we didn't get fined. They hey guys, y'all quit that shit and work it out, whatever. And if it was real bad, like I know a guy that was a riding son of a gun, whipped the judge and he was out for a year or so, but I mean, and not just tagged him on the nose, like beat out of him,
Yeah.
But that was okay because that's what he thought he had to do to get it right.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, that group you just mentioned, Tuff and Jim and the Creos, Denny Flynn, Ted Noose, Ricky Lindsay, the guys I got to watch, I fed off of that. Like I'd rope and then I'd go watch, I'd always watch the bull riding and I'd always watch the bulls, and if they needed to pull, I'd pull because to me, that's the elite boxing match right there. Bull riding to me, because if you can't match them punch for punch, jump for jump, you have no way of making the whistle to me. But I go watch them matadors, man, them fighters. I love to watch. I fed off of Ty and I fed off of Tuff, because Tom Murray didn't say they want to, partner, about anybody. Tom Murray's the toughest guy ever to rodeo. Tom Murray worked 3 events, not 2. He worked bareback riding, and bull riding like Wasey, but he throw saddle bronc in there too. That was from the first of the rodeo, the middle, and the end, because he was at one perf. He did them all 3, and to do them at his level for as long as he did, was nothing but total respect. I I'm so lucky I got to watch that career because that career, I don't think you'll ever see 3 events like that again.
Yeah, that was wild.
It was. And he was so good at it. And me, too, you look at old videos and you could ask your dad about if he's around, we'd ask him, but you watch old videos. Hey, they didn't get on the cream of the crop every day. They wrote some shit. You know what I mean? And they didn't turn them out. If they thought they could win 4th or 5th, they got on them.
Yeah.
And that was just, to me, was, I respected Ty so much and his friendship beside, but him in his events, like I never tried to win all around when he was going, but the 2 years he got hurt. And I made sure I didn't make, being ugly, I called, are you injured or you hurt? Because if he was injured, he'd heal up. Yeah. And he said, no, I'm really hurt. Get after it. And I won 2 all arounds because of that. But I wasn't going to beat him in 3 events, and I knew that.
Yeah, that would be tough.
It wasn't no sense in it.
That would be tough.
Yeah,
especially the timed events like those are 2 that's really tough to do well in multiple events.
And and back then there was so many 2-hitters and they weren't back to back. And you wound up flying here and there and back and forth and through, and it was just like, because Tom Murray's gonna beat my anyway, But when he got hurt those 2 years, I got after it and I got 2 all arounds but if not, I wouldn't even thought about it because I'm telling you right now, Tom Murray in 3 events was as good or better than anybody could ever imagine.
Yeah. Which one of your world titles was the toughest, you feel like?
96. I think it was 96. I broke my arm in June at Union, Oregon. Union, Oregon probably had 2,500.
I hope you're enjoying a ranch fuel as you're listening to this episode of Rodeo Time. Use code DALE on ranchfuel.com for 15% off, old son. Drink up and use code DALE on ranchfuel.com. Rock and roll denim is what Dale Brisby uses to spur his bucking bulls. I get the reflex. Gives me the mobility I need to be the cowboy I am. So go to rockandrolldenim.com, old son.
Yeah, I was in the lead. I don't know if I was in the lead, but I was in top 4 in the head and the calf roping, tie down roping, and was like 1 or 2 or 3 and all around. And I had a roll at them, and I broke my arm at Union, Oregon, and I bet it didn't add 2,000 back then. I had a head horse that break down the wall. In old school, they used to do the barriers. They tied up a pole up top and it'd pull that way, remember?
Yeah.
Well, I left down the wall when the barrier pulled. The stopper didn't stop at the pulley and it went through, so it made a big loop. And it jerked me off of my horse. And I broke my navicular bone and broke a bone in my wrist. So what was funny is I had the best steer on them. And I was opening the gate, Tom Bourne then. And it jerked me off, and it was an easy rodeo. It was so easy, and I was like, "Hey, tell him to bring him back because this is 1,500. We may not. I may be out a while. This hurts. You know what I mean? So bring him back." So they said, "Okay, we'll bring him back." So I get over there and get my horse caught. Boy, and it goes to swelling, and my thumb goes to getting big, and they circling back around. Well, the bucket chutes are on the left side of the arena, so they can't get him behind the pin. They got the alley shut off, and they come tell me, say, "Hey, we'll get him back, but it's gonna be after the bull riding." I'm like, man, I need to run him, dude. This thing is swelling. It's hurt, And they're like, we'll get him right before the bull ride. And I said, okay. So they run the barrels, they drag, they take the barrels out, blah, 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 Well, by the time they run the steer around, my hand's done swollen, my fingers are swollen, I can't close my hand. And Tom said, let's just turn him out. And I said, Tom, I'm winning all around, and I'm hurt. Let's get 1,500. We might need it. So I took my head rope and we measured it off, and I put a coil, and then I cut it off and I black taped it 2 spots in the coils. And I took the reins. He tied a knot in them for me and made them really short. So I run my arm through the elbow, and I had my reins, and I took that rope and stuck it with that coil between my fingers. And I said, listen, I can't reach. I'm going to have to run right on top of this steer, but he loped. He was so good, I said, so you get up there, don't let him move because I don't have much rope. He said, just turn him out. I said, no, we're going to win some. So, boy, I blowed across there, and I got real close and got me a dally, and he heals him. And when he healed him, I hit the horn in my hand and just off the side,
No.
But I win second, and sure enough, I had to go home. Tandy sent me home for I don't know how long. And when I came back that year, I was home. That was in June. I missed all of July. I missed August. I started back Labor Day. So we entered everything, I could get to. And I came here behind, and I only made it in the tie-down roping. And then Herbert was in 2 events. I think it was Herbert was in 2 events, and I was way behind. And when I got done, I don't remember how much I won the all around by, but I look back on that 1,400 or whatever and thought,
Dang.
you know, that's kind of what guys have to do sometimes, you
Dang.
know, because I lost a gold buck ladder one year by $13.
Whoa.
$13.11 or something like that. So I'd already, you know, I didn't want to do that again. I was like, this can't happen. But we were at San Angelo at the roping fiesta, at that big roping. And years ago, San Francisco was the last rodeo, and it was Halloween weekend. That was it. So we all went to it, and then when all of us tighten ropers flew to San Angelo. And I can't remember what the times, but say one flight left San Antonio at 6:20, and one left at 8:20. But they both got there in plenty of time because short go they rope calves after at the end of the rodeo, right before the bull riding. So Herbert and about 3 or 4 guys got on the early flight, and me and 4 of us got on the late flight. They made it. We got there and got fogged in, and they circled us. I was winning second. One of the boys with me was winning third, riding my horse. I can't remember what the other 2 winning, but Herbert was coming in like 10th. All 4 of us circle the whole, and they take us to San Diego and land us. And 4 of us turn out. Herbert wins like 6 because everybody turned out and beat me by $13.
Dang. Dang.
So that's flashing through, and I'm thinking I need every dollar I can get, you know.
Oh, that was before
And that's
you broke your hand.
So now that's got me just, and I'm thinking, hey man, I can
Every
lose.
dollar counts.
And I can't. I don't want it. You know, not 1,500, but it wasn't.
It was close enough.
Yep.
You
You never know. Back then, money, you know, was not what it is today. You didn't get $5,000 checks at a time. You know, so it's so good now, and the guys are looking at so much money. It's so fun for us, you know, guys that fought to get it there to see it get there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I would say the reason it's so good is because we've got guys like yourself that have been here every year for 39 years to call out the bull. Like if something comes up, it's like, look, guys, I've been here a long time. That right
Hey, and
there.
I'm going to tell you something, D. That fine list shit where they used to find me. That fine list with everybody's name on it, me and Cody O and a few more we got way more fines than that.
Yeah.
Way more fines. But Matt Tyler, do you know Matt Tyler by any chance?
It's team roper?
Yeah, he was a team roper. Dude, he was the first guy that had good deal. He had Conoco and Whataburger back when it first started. But Matt Tyler and me have been friends since we were 10 years old. He's the reason for equal money here in the team roping.
Oh, yes.
He and I got together. He had come with a deal, and he said, hey, we got to get equal money. We got to stop this. We got to, you know. So, you know, we fought tooth and nail at the meeting and stopped it and had people, you know, some team ropers stand up when, you know, tell them we're not going to rope, you know. Yeah, you're going to rope, you know. Well, we're not going to rope next year. We're going to blah, blah, whatever. We fought to get equal money because I'd already lost one all around where equal money would have, you know, the year Dan Mortensen won it. If I'd had equal money to team roping, hell, I'd win it by 25,000, you know.
Dang.
And the big deal to me was it was big. It wasn't that big a deal, but my bonuses were huge if I won the all around. You know, back then my endorsements, I had $25,000 bonus clauses if I won the all around. Well, equal money just cost me $25,000 plus whatever. So it was big for us, and we fought hard for it to get it to where it is today.
Yeah, that equal money deal is, oof. I forgot.
Yeah, you know, people don't even know about it this, you know, day and age. And and I go through it a lot with the breakaway, you know. Hey, I'm a breakaway fan. I had breakaway roping in my ropings. Nobody else did. But I tell them all the time, look, y'all are moving fast. You may not think you are, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I go to Cheyenne like I used to go all the time, and team roping was a third of the equal, you know, added money, and the first year they had breakaways equal money, I'm going to blow up the rodeo office, you know, just because y'all, come on, it's going good.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
keep it
a
rolling.
really good point.
You know?
It has. I mean, it was not that long ago. They didn't have breakaway at anything
At
but
all.
AMI rodeos and college rodeos.
That's right. Hey, think of, it'd be like, okay, let's take the bareback riding, because there's a lot of young guys coming out of college right now that I think are really going to help the bareback cause.
Agreed.
Do you agree, or am I
Yes,
wrong?
very much.
I think it's really helping, and I love to see it.
For sure.
Okay, but let's just say no bareback riding in the pros for a while. Take 10 years, and then let's have the bareback riding. How many talented guys are we going to lose? We did that in a breakaway.
Most of them.
There's some rope girls, partner, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, that could be top 5 every year. but they quit because there wasn't anywhere to go.
Yeah.
You know, and you see some of them trying to come back now at 35
Right.
or 40. Hey, that's hard.
Yeah.
You know? So
No, that's a good point.
you know what I mean? So I think they're, you know, I know it's not just right like they want, but hey, we're working it. It's getting good.
I feel like, you know, when I first started rodeoing, I did feel like I knew I wanted an aspect of anything I did. I wanted to be an ambassador for the sport. There's always seemed like a conversation years ago about that this way of life was fading and dying, you know? And the more I got involved with social media, for me, that mindset changed.
Right.
And matter of fact, when we did the Netflix show, I tell people this, my listeners are probably tired of hearing it, but we named it How to Be a Cowboy because I told them, as a guy on social media, I get 20, 30, 40 messages a day from people. How do I get started rodeoing? How do I get started ranching? And I think, and I'm just basically seeing if you agree, that the way of life, rodeo and cowboy way of life, is on the upswing in such a big way that like we're getting more and more, not only competitors, but followers and fans.
So much, 100%. But you know why? It's people like you doing what you're doing. If we don't have that, and then if we don't have guys, and hey, look, man, I have been cut to the bone a million times. You're not getting no virgin territory jumping on my ass, I tell them, you know. But you gotta have people that you can reach out to in any aspect and tell you like it is. Yeah. Because it is a different life and it is a great life, and we are on the upswing. However you want to name it, however you want to word it, the Western lifestyle is on the up, and the rodeo is rolling. But it's because people like you are taking the time and venturing out into a new era to bring it to life and to bring it to enjoyment. So y'all are doing a lot of that. You need to take a little credit for that deal. Well, I'm telling you.
I appreciate that. It is at the heart of what. Now, yeah, I gotta pay my bills, so I do sell a t-shirt.
Well, heck yeah.
You know, I got sponsors.
Yes.
But like, I'm so passionate about this sport, and my dad was so passionate about this sport. And it's just in my bones that I want rodeo to do well and be elevated. I love that there are finally so many more podcasts and videos and videographers and just giving exposure. And I applaud it. I welcome any and all competition because I think that, you know, the more education we can bring to people, the better. I think that, you know, Chris Ledoux had a song about, you know, cowboys exist. You just can't see us from the road.
Yep.
And I think,
just like the Hondo, taking it to New Orleans.
Yeah, new stuff
man,
like
come
that.
on.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Because, you know, way back there when I amateured the IPRA rodeos, we went to Cincinnati, Columbus, Nashville. Nashville's rodeo last year. Boom. All different crowds, all different people involved. That's what we need. And it's because social media stuff tells them get out there and enjoy it. I mean, just at the Hondo a couple weeks ago when I was there doing it, people everywhere, every walk of life, everybody had hats and boots on, having a blast.
Yeah.
Loving it. That's what we need too. We can't be scared to go outside the chain link fence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crawl the chain link fence and let's bring people to it, and they'll come in with us.
Yeah, you're right. Like, and I think the internet solved that problem that Chris was talking about. There was, and in that time, there was a life. You could grow up in a city and have no idea what was going on.
Yep.
And now, you know, there's just more access to information. And like my intern program, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, Missouri, like they come from all over.
Yep.
They've been watching, and they, you know, logging truck, bartender, college kid, they just come from these walks of life, and they're like, I want to go try that.
Yep.
And that's how I get people to work for me.
Just like our Kid Rock and Rodeo.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
At first, when they were talking about everybody, that's not going to work. That's a team deal. That's not, hold on, give us a chance.
Yeah.
Let us show you what you're missing here. Let us sell rodeo to you in a different way that it's not the norm. But you know what? It's exciting. It's competitive, and now we got all kind of followers at that thing.
It is fascinating, and I completely underestimated how glued to the arena I would be whenever those calf ropers backed in the box.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been more entertained. I've always been a fan because, like I said, like timed event guys are the most cowboy people in the arena. But anyway, I think the biggest obstacle for that scenario and that format is obviously the arena.
Yep.
And the timers and the technology that it requires. And maybe there's a world where that gets dumbed down where your Jacksonville, Texas can do a version of it.
That's right. Yeah. But if not, it can go the right places and do the right things. But you know what you just said though that makes you what I talk about good for this, and like when you get on there, I'm like, yes, I want to do it because you don't realize you reach many gray areas, right, of people, and we bring them into the rodeo spot. But you're a fan of rodeo like me. I like both ends. Yeah. I like the whole rodeo, and don't get me wrong, the PBR is not. It's an exception. It's what it is. But then I don't ever vote. I'm not a big fan of standalones because I like the whole package of rodeo. I like both ends of the arena. It's champions on both ends I can sell. It gives me something when I'm doing TV. I love both ends of it. Yeah. But you're such a passionate person of the rodeo and the way of life that the more you do this, the more you help us bring the people in. Yeah. Because you bring them in, we're gonna sell them.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that you see that because like I can remember early on as a comedian, like it's almost too perfect for me to have this group of people I could potentially make jokes about. Yep. Like it would be too easy for me. Yep. But I never did that. And the moment that was presented as an option, I was like, no, I can't. I'm not going to make fun of. Number one, I can remember when I was like a kid and I was in high school and I could just hear my dad like in Brownwood, Texas is where we were. And he was like, we were behind the chutes and he was like, watch JoJo wolf it on this.
Yep.
And his hand, like he barely had enough room to dally. Yep. And my dad had team roped a little, but like I was taught to appreciate that. I wish I would have done it more. I can't do that like that, but I do very much enjoy watching it. And that was in me. And so like it was, and I was like, man, I can't divide. Occasionally there's jokes that we'll make, whatever.
Yeah, but that's part of life. Like, that's part of the good stuff.
The same way we would joke in here with each other about whatever. But anyway.
But it's just like me, okay? When I was a kid, I roped. That's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I can remember on Tuesday nights, I think it was, there's a guy named Wayne Marshall, and he had him branded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 black Angus bulls. And he'd take them to the park and he'd buck them. And it was $10 or $5 probably back then, whatever it was, $5. And to ride, And I remember going with my buddies 2 weeks in a row. And I said, I was already probably 6 foot, I was big. I was like, I can't do that, can I? And he'd be like, no. But I wanted to so bad because my hero growing up was Phil Lyon. Because to me, Trevor has 20 or whatever, however many all arounds. I've got 3. Ty's got 7, 8, whatever he's got. Everybody's got. But the last true all around cowboy was Phil Lyon. Both ends of the arena, win the average at the NFR same year.
That's wild.
That's an all around guy. We
won
were having
the
money.
Average in both.
In 70, I think too, he wins the average in both events same year.
Dang.
Now that's doing something, isn't it?
That is. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was always like, I wanted to get on a bull just to see if I, but my guys kept telling me, man, you win a lot in a rope. You can't do this. You can't ride a horse hardly. Right. You know what I mean? So, but that's the difference. I think, that's how we grew up. Mm-hmm. You and I grew up appreciating the whole rodeo package.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and the fun part of it is. You got a voice And you can do it either way you want. You know, we could start right now and start with the BS part of it, and we could knock this thing. And we'd have people mad and laughing and everything else too. But if you don't have more than one tool in your bag, guess what you become? You become a laborer.
Yes, sir.
But if you got 4 or 5 tools in that bag, then you're an expert.
Yes, sir.
And you're an expert. See, then you can be an expert and do it how you want.
Yeah,
that's when you know you've made it.
That's a good point. Talking about the separation sometimes or lack of in our worlds for sure between timed event and rough stock. The other part of I used to sense a little bit of separation between that I don't think is there any longer in between rodeo cowboys and ranching cowboys. And I think
there was that
gap, I feel like, and maybe it's due to, I think that ranch cowboys have a deeper appreciation for, like as a whole, for rodeo cow because of maybe ranch rodeo.
Yep.
Like
I think
becoming more
ranch
popular.
rodeos are great for it.
But I think, like, I can't remember who I was talking to, but like if a number 9 team roper walked into a branding pen at almost any reputable ranch, they would be so well respected. Mm-hmm. Like they would be like revered, and people would be.
20 years ago, they'd have been like, let's see if you can catch these.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I can kind of sense that. I don't remember any specific examples.
No, but you're right.
Because I was grown to appreciate both, but so I don't remember, but I can sense it, and I can think back to like there was never. I definitely didn't feel like there was like a bond, but now it's like, and a lot of these ranching cowboys with things like the World Series and.
Yep, it's helped a lot.
Oh my gosh, there's so much. I mean, like,
and I tell you something else too. I think the guys roping now try to put, and there's not a lot of them maybe that do it good. They try to put more horsemanship into their roping, and ranch guys appreciate that more too. Mm-hmm. Because hey, you know as well as I do. If I go to somebody's place right now, I make dang sure that I know what I'm getting on, because those guys will get on anything that morning, and by that afternoon, they're using him,
right?
And so I think they appreciate a little bit of that each way more too.
Yeah, and I guess maybe horsemanship, I think, has become like a studied art for ranching cowboys. Has it been something that's evolved? Or has it always been there for rodeo cowboys?
I think it's something that's evolved. I really do. Back there was a few, but then there was guys, I mean, like me, I had a checkbook. That was my horsemanship. I knew how to ride. I could get by any of them. But if you had a good one and I wanted him, I bought him.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore. There's too much money. There's too much kid money. These kids out here, there's some kids going to win $30,000 this week. So, and then you have the numbered ropings for the tie down now, and you got the World Series. So used to, if I went to a jackpot and I saw a head horse I liked, by the end of the day, I'd own him because I didn't care what he cost. I knew I was going to win it back. Yeah. So I owned him. But anymore, you can't do that. So you better, you got to have to learn how to ride.
You can't do it because they're so expensive?
Yeah, because they won't sell.
Or they just won't sell.
They won't sell because they can go to Vegas to the number 8.
Because they can win the 30.
They can win 300,000 on him now. You know what I'm saying?
Dang.
And the dads won't sell the kids because Junior can go out here at Hingham, my junior open, which is just a regular roping, right, and win 8,000, and then go the one the next week and win 6,000. So they're not going to sell. You know? And you used to, hey, man, if I liked your horse, I aggravated you enough and put enough money on that check, you're going to sell you a horse. And anymore, not the game.
I had somebody tell me sometimes like that some of these deals like that are getting put on, like it's almost there's one school of thought like, man, we're so appreciative that the powers that be are putting this roping on because it gives us a chance to win 100,000. But then there's other people saying like, don't feel sorry for that guy putting this thing on.
Yeah,
is there a dark side to it, or is it more like, hey, this is the business, and the guys at the top are allowed to make money?
A little of both. Because I tell you what, it's killed in backyard jackpots. Where guys hone their skills. Them young guys got tough and honed their skills. Because now, if that young guy, if he's 13, 14, 15, and he goes to one of them big ropings and he has one good week, boom, your number's up two numbers, and then you become a kid again the next week, and you can't win nothing for 2 months. Mm-hmm. It's tough. because your number's already up because you won 12,000 that week with all them other guys there. They didn't like it. The older guys didn't like that kid sliding in there winning. Well, if he's at 3 for 40s in Pete's backyard, well, they didn't give a crap. You won that good that week. Well, let's see if you can do it again, kid. So it's a different mentality that way. And yes, it's great. It's great the money they can win, and it's big money. But it's also, I think, taking a little bit of the grind it out, backyard jackpots, get to where you're good, then move on part. And the guys at the head, they're going to make the money. They're going to. You're not going to have a guy. You're not going to have anybody in any leadership role do what they do and make it really good for everybody and take a lot of chances without knowing they're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you're on to what.
Yeah.
Everything's happening.
Yeah.
It's just like horses. Hey, it's great if you get, the horses will bring 200,000 for this. It's a really good horse. What do you get for him? 200. That's great. But then you got one over here that you're going to bring me and he's worth 50, but because he got 200, you think he's worth 200. And I'm like, he's not that good. Well, he got 200 for his. His wasn't no good. It's almost jelly rolled on that deal just to where, man, you just get pushed back and forth on the money on horses.
Yeah.
A truck is going to bring what a truck is. Because if you go to Bill Fick and I were all in the deal and I said, Houston, I want that one. Well, that truck costs $5.
Yeah.
Well, the one next to it costs $4.90. And the one on this side costs $5.10 because of this and this.
Yeah.
If I go to my Dodge place.
You can look on a paper.
That's right. But the horse, they don't get that. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
So there's a lot of good horses, I think, that don't get sold to go the right spot and make money because they're waiting because the neighbor over there across the road got 100 for his and they can't see the difference like the truck $5,
Right.
And that's hard on the horse business. It's good. Horse business is great. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but just like another example, you get a saddle bronc that brings what that bronc brought this week. He's got to live to he's 54 years old and have 100 outs a year.
What did he bring?
185,000. Did you 185, D?
Golly,
185.
I did not know
now,
that.
he can be a good one, but he's got to live to be 52.
It's a gelding, probably.
And a gilding. Yes, sir. So what I'm saying is that the guys that want them and they want the very best, they're going to keep that level uneven, per se.
That's crazy for a bucking horse.
The bull they won the first round on.
Uh-huh.
And Stetson had him at the circuit finals and won around him, I think, there too. 90-point bull brings 80 grand.
Dang.
That's a good bull.
Yeah.
That bull's proven. He's tested. Okay, he brings 80. So how in the world does a guy with the 2 to 3 year old that only had two really good guys on him think his bull's going to be worth 100? But they do.
Yeah.
And that's the same as the horse business.
Yeah, there's such a variable of just like opinion. It's such a
That's exactly what I'm getting at. The trucks take the opinions out.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, steel costs
That's
this.
right.
Yeah,
that's
transmission
right.
costs
And
this.
we are in the opinion business, and that's a hard business sometimes.
Right. And then the fact that, inflation is changing the dollar so much that it's just it just hurts my head to even think about it. But yeah, I'm just trying to find like I had a buddy call me the other day and he was like, I need a kid horse. I was like, okay. He was like, something ready to retire, some old bat that just it needs to retire. And I was like, all right, what do you want? And he was like, I'm thinking under 10,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
And you just have to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, get in line.
Yeah, and that's the worst call to me. I sell a lot of horses, a lot. 80% of my business is kids 17 and under. So when I sell him, I got to know if it's okay if he comes back, because if they want to trade him in 2 years, okay, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that call that I hate the most is when that mom calls and you know by listening to them, that's all they got to spend. And they got a kid that really ropes good and they know they're out horsed.
Dang.
And they tell me, Joe, we got it. We need a good one. We need a step up, don't we? And I'm like, yeah. And they said, well, we got 20,000 to spend. Okay, and I want to say,
which is a lot
of money for a horse, a lot. But I want to say, You know, that's what I always say. They always say, and I play the lottery. I play the, man, millions. I'm all about, because I'm lucky enough to win that bitch one time. I'm the luckiest human being. You know, I mean, I'm not a cat on my 9th life, but I've wasted 3 or 4. And so, but you know what would be so fun to me is to win, have that kind of money, right?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of horses I buy and sell a lot, but I would love to have like 5 of them in the barn. And when that lady calls,
You know,
say, I
and
got
you
it.
can hear it, and you're like, I got
And I
you.
may give $60,000 for
And
that
it's
sucker,
a
but it wouldn't matter.
$60,000 horse that you give to him.
It would be so fun to give.
Yeah, that would be.
You know what I mean? Say,
Yeah.
you know what, man? I do have that horse for 20, and he's worth 70. But who cared? I'd have so much money, it wouldn't matter.
And it's crazy that we're even like using those numbers, but like I agree with you 100%. I bought this horse that I pick up on, and he's 15. He come off the Wagner ranch and then went to a buddy and then over to me. He's 15. Kids can ride him, but my interns can learn on him.
Yes.
And I can kind of pick up on him. $15,000.
Yep.
And I felt like I got a deal.
Yes, you did. But it's terrible to think that way, you know, but it is. It is.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. That's the hard part of team roping and tie down roping and breakaway roping, I think.
Oh, for
that's
sure.
a hard part, because the breakaway is so competitive, so fast and so tough and quick, and it's hard when you see a girl really ropes good and they're out horsing her, you know. But to me it'd be like, that'd be just the most fun ever, just to
So that's what makes
throw them out like cards.
yeah. That's what makes a guy that's able to make his own horse so valuable.
You dang right. And anymore, you know, there's not very many places a guy can go to season them. So you got to have a guy, you know, like I send a lot of horses to Cody McCartney. You know, he wins a lot at fraternities. He wins a lot, you know. Nathan Steinberg. I got a couple guys, you know. I used to send them to Mike Arnold. I'll buy a lot of young greener, you know, but I don't have time, you know, and I can't take them anywhere. I can't get it on anymore like that.
Yeah.
But if I take one of my guys that rope really good, like Kobe Dowch, John's little brother, you know, he's bad. We can't go anywhere. You know, you can't go anywhere. Take a young horse rope 2 for $500 a couple times a week. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So that's another hard part of it. You got to find a guy that you can pay to take them. There's 2 ways to get them. You're either going to pay a guy like that to do it and get one you like, or you're going to give the big money for the one you want.
Right.
There's no, and, you know, used to be there was that in between that you could grind it out and make them,
Yeah.
but anymore, man, it's hard.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a prime example this year in the tie down rope, and I said all year, Tyler Calhoun, which is a rookie of the year this year, he's got a little bay, and he's not very big, but he's rode him since his 12 and under ropings. So he's rode him 10 years, 9 years, and he kills him on him. Tom Kraus has a horse that he rode, a freshman in high school, I know. And Tom's out of college. He's 20, whatever. His horse is old. Both those. One's 20, one's 22. And I said all summer, I said, if those 2 horses can stay together, those 2 boys will make the finals. Because they have so much confidence in them. They won so much, but they can't find that other one like them. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And Tyler's horse got crippled, and he missed him by 1, and Tom's horse stayed sound, and he made him.
Dang.
That's how important they are. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, you know, that's a hard deal in that end of the arena.
I've been pretty fascinated with and like a new appreciation for, you know, getting to coach with Trevor.
Yeah.
Got to know him better. We did a podcast and got to watch him interact and coach the team. But pretty, like in my walk as a Christian, I study because I myself am trying to work on it. But like, it's crazy how good he is and also how humble he is. And I've observed the same with you. Like, you guys, I mean, have so many world titles, but I guess what made me bring up Trevor was you're talking about the him, because they build horses.
Sure.
You know, he makes him and
Let me
Miles
tell
like
you,
they make some of the best horses.
like nobody's business.
And I want to talk about that, but I also was just like watching him, because you got to rodeo with him. What was it like watching him, and how did y'all feed off of each other when in his heyday?
Total Feeds is what keeps the herd powered here at Radiator Ranch, and Total Equine is what I've been giving Boone for 10 years. He's 24 years old and still going strong. You can get it on Chewy.com or a dealer near you. Ever since I started riding bulls and punching fools, I've been wearing an American hat because I'm an American. I actually wore a different hat before that for the longest, but then my mom got a job. So wear an American hat, old son. Otherwise, you ain't no cowboy.
We talked about all the roughies.
We rode to the Thomas Mack together. I think last year or 2 years I made the finals. Me and him. We'd meet down at the deal. We were at the Mirage Inn, or I think we're at the Mirage. But we'd meet down at the deal, and we got in the limo, and we went together. Because
I think my head would be so, after the titles y'all got, like, I don't know if my head could fit in a car with another world champion. You know what I mean? But y'all are just
But I was on
buddies
I knew I was way out, right? And he was coming in, he was in his prime. And we fed off each other. You know, I fed off of that tenacity he had and that confidence he had. And he fed off of me, I think, a little bit about security and knowing, regardless of what everybody else was thinking or what he had to prove, then he knew I had his back because I done been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Trevor came from humble beginnings, and he's fought to get his way. I've known him since he was 8 years old, 10 years old, whatever, you know. And I've seen him come up through the ranks, and I've seen him, you know, he's too little, he won't do this, and you know, he doesn't have a horse, he can't do that. And I saw how he just kept building, you know. And we rodeoed together quite a bit, and I think that Trevor has a unique gift of interacting with himself and not really letting the public know what's going on. Does that make sense? With him?
Yeah.
And if you know how witty that little son of a gun is, and how
my gosh,
little still son of a gun he is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, JB says never let him see you sweat.
Never.
I guess that's what.
Trevor, you don't.
Yeah.
You never know what's going on in him. You get the same look from here up, and you get the same handshake no matter what's happening.
Well, you said confidence, and I guess that's what, I guess, in my head, there's been such a period of my life where I just thought confidence and pride were the same thing. And I feel like I've learned that they're not, and that you can have confidence and still be humble.
That's your faith working on you. That's your faith telling you how to keep it separated and keep it right.
Yeah.
Because believe you me, I've lived on both sides of that sword. I have been a person and as far away from you could ever think that the God would care one thing about you, to being a guy upside down, dead on the floor, needing him to bring you, needing to be some help, to being on the other side of it and realizing, you know what, there's a way more to living. I want to win. I want to be the best. I want gold buckles. But in the end, I want to be able to have a good day and look at people in the eye and think, I don't care what they think. But that's got you lined out. You're seeing the difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference. Hey, confidence is confidence. You dang right. We are. You know, when they turn that mic on, guess what you know you got? Game.
Yeah.
You got game, brother.
Yeah.
So that's fine. That's part of it, you know? But the other part of it is there's a lot of guys out there that never learn the difference. They never learn the difference.
Yeah, it's just interacting with you guys in all y'all's circles. Like, I don't know. I know some guys that made the circuit finals one time, and their head's so big they can't fit through that door.
That's right.
You
That's
know?
right.
But the gold buckles y'all got, and I mean, you're sitting in here today with me. You know what I mean? Like you've given me the time of day, and like, yeah, Trevor too. I was in a camper in Phillipsburg, Kansas. First, I was in Mesquite a few weeks earlier, and I met him, and then I was in Phillipsburg, Kansas, and he remembered my name, and we visited, and I was like, dang, I am a nobody. Like, the fact that he.
But
you
here's the deal. My dad told me years ago, he said, that's a long ladder you're climbing. We don't know how long it's going to last and how high it's going to take you. But at some point, you're going to have to go over and come down that ladder. And everybody you going up that ladder is going to have a real slippery step coming down the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I tried to do life, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, even at my wildest, you know, not Sunday church morning going crowd guy, at my furthest point, I always said, take time to hug the kids, shake the men's hand, hug the ladies, move on. Because they all had a little piece of making you what you were.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you get through that point and you finally grow up and get out of it, it makes a big difference. You know what I mean? It makes it like, oh, now I got through that point. I got past all that, and I still got people on my team, so I'm gonna be good now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And Trevor's so good at that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's so good at that. He's been, he's a great dad. He's been a great dad the whole time. You know, he's a good husband. He's a great winner, and he's a very competitive sucker. You know that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very competitive. But with all that being said, he's still a good guy.
Yeah.
And that's what people have trouble with.
Yeah.
I think, don't you? Too many people aren't good people.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's kind of the total package of it all. Like you would just assume it's almost like a Tom Brady. Like
Yep.
you're just like you're like, oh man, he's probably so hard to be in the room with.
Yep.
But then like you watch I've seen some interviews and know some people that interact with him, and it's like, turns out he's a really nice guy. It's like, oh man, there's some of those people out there that they just like check all the boxes.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, to me, and because when you're at the top of your game, everything's. But when little something starts going, that's when you catch it. You know,
Right.
To me, and he's a friend of mine, and I don't know him great, but I know him pretty good. But I respect and I love watching him. But JB, to me, JB's done a great job with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't get no better than that guy.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get any more grit. You don't get any tougher. You don't get any crazier.
Yeah.
You know, they're picking the bull nobody thinks you can ride over and over. You don't get any more eyes on you being the very best in the world your way, judged from their perspective, and still be able to waltz in the room with that little boy and smile and be happy.
Yeah, for sure.
Ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that last year rodeo, and I think it was Fort Scott, Kansas. Jay Solangel Andrews took a picture. The line was just out of the frame.
Oh, I bet so.
And it
yeah,
was like 2 hours.
But
he
he's right
sat
there
in Fort Scott.
Yeah, because you know why?
Not Kansas.
He appreciated
Fort Smith, Arkansas.
He appreciated that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he always has. I mean, did it his way, does it his way, but that's kind of what I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of do it your own way.
Yeah.
You know, just like you've done it your way.
Yes, sir.
You know what it's done? It's made people recognize you.
Yeah.
You know what else it's done? It's made people realize that you are you.
Yes,
You're
sir.
not a fad, and you're not a pushover, and you're not a copycat. You're you. That's what's made you unique, and that's a special trait, man.
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate it so much. Because they're what I mean. I'm a little bit unique. I think the internet removed any middleman. So like I went straight to the people. Kind of like, I mean,
Yeah.
nobody could argue the buckle. Nobody could argue your ability to do the thing. And then, so like for me, like I think early on there were some gray hairs in the industry that like would have raised an eyebrow at me and laughed me out of a room if I wanted to do a show on their network or something,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm
Yeah.
not calling anybody out, but I went straight to the public with the internet, and I won some people's attention, and that's what gave me a platform.
But isn't that a nice? It's a nice way now for you to be able to show that without the judgmental BS that you might have had to go through.
Yeah, with an agent or
and
no,
all
we
the stuff.
we want it to look like this.
Yeah,
you know,
there you go. That's what
yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's another thing I think if you go back, you go back 40 years or whatever, the first time I was here, I didn't fit in. You know what I mean? They were showing me a picture. I was just at Steveville Trailers, my trailer place, and a kid brought a Resistol calendar for next year, and I'm on the front, and it was me roping it the first. I'm the reason they have to wear button-up shirts. The first year I made them, my mom bought me 10 polos, dude, pullover long sleeve polos.
Yeah.
They didn't have no button-up now. I didn't like button-up shirts, man. I like polos. And in the next year's a rule, you must wear a button-up shirt.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, because I wore
I thought
pullovers.
you were being sarcastic.
No. I had 10, and back then, 10 polos were a lot for old poor boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wore them every night, and they told me about selling around. He got
Like the short sleeve polos?
no, long sleeve pullovers,
sleeve.
but they just have 2 buttons, right? Not all
Right.
and the next year, there was a rule: you must wear button-down shirt. They could have said, "Hey, Joe, you cause it," so. But I didn't fit in. I wasn't the norm. You know what I mean? I didn't wear the starch down, and I didn't wear the Ray-Bans, and I had long hair, and I went out and I had fun. But if I would have had to deal with all the internet and all the social media, when I at 19, 20, when I was doing that, fast forward 20 years, man, there'd have been so many opinionated people out there. They could have railed me out of town if they wanted to,
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
But we didn't have to go through that, but you did. But being that you brought it the right way, your way, they accepted you. Mm-hmm. See, and that's a trait that people don't. I don't care. My dad used to tell me all the time, "Hey man, I don't give. You pick up beer cans in the ditch. If you do, don't you pass one up. You pick everyone up so they can't say that you have to do a job."
Yeah.
And he said, if you do it that way, you'll always be able to open doors.
Yeah.
And I've got some clinics now. I've had 20. I had one clinic 21 years, I think. And I've told the story, but I mean, I was at Lewiston, Idaho, and it was Wrangler World Rodeo back then, and I was behind just a little in the last 2 rodeos. So I said, well, I'm going to enter and fly up there and rope the 2, and then I'll come back to the school in Mississippi. So I flew up there and just going to run 2, I went second in the first round, went third in the second round, high call. So I'm in there in that old Red Lion hotel, and back then they had the phones, on the wall and by the tables. And my mom had 800 number, so I would call, because hell, I would never call check in. That tracking they do now, them kids, I'd have threw it in the river, That'd never work. And I called home, and he said, my dad said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm in Idaho, blah, blah, blah. Winning all this shit." He said, "When's the short go?" That's Saturday night. And this was Thursday afternoon. I wrote Wednesday morning, Thursday morning. My school was Saturday, Sunday. And he said, "Thought you had school down there." I said, "I do, but, man, this chance to win that bonus and blah, blah, blah. And I need to wear open, and, I'm going to cancel it." He said, "I'm going to tell you something. Parents will never forget. Kids won't forgive." That's all he said. Hung up.
Yeah.
And it got to bother me. And back then you just didn't fly out of Lewiston. You had to go to Spokane. And I flew from Spokane to Houston to New Orleans, got a rent car. I got there like 5 a.m. and did that school, turned out in the short go. And I had that school 19 years.
Dang.
If I'd have canceled it, I may have never booked in the Mississippi, Louisiana again.
Yeah.
But there's little things like that I think we learned the hard trial and error, that now you've done such a good job with social media. People can almost, like, I like watching your intern stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because for me, I know what it is to get somebody like that doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
But I like watching that part, how you've made it fun, and you make it to where you got a choice. You'll be good, or you can have fun with this and we'll fun you out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you're good at that.
Yeah.
You're good at that. And your social media has taken that. You've taken social media and used that so good that you're almost teaching life lessons we learn trial and error.
Yeah, sir. No,
And you don't even know you're doing it half the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I've kind of always been in a Snook. You ever Kermit Moss?
Snook, Texas,
You know
every
Kermit?
Saturday night.
Yeah.
Ray Moss.
Yeah, Ray Moss.
Yes, sir.
But do you remember Kermit?
Yeah, I knew Kermit real well.
Yeah.
Real well. I know Kermit well. I've known my whole life.
When I was
Yep.
at A&M, I went there. I worked for Kermit quite a bit, and then he would teach me a little bit of roping.
Uh-huh.
He wanted to, and I should have listened more, but I ran his bull deal. He fired him back up, and
Yeah.
when I was in college, we put those on, and did all the rough stock, and we would practice there, man, every Thursday night. And anyways, I just kind of became a guy in college because I was rodeoing and I liked to practice. So I would, part of it was selfish for me, but I was always college kids like, "Hey, I want to try it."
Yeah.
And so, and the rodeo team, Dr. Al, he would always send newbies to me. But anyway, so I got to where I was always helping somebody get on for the
Right.
first time.
Right.
And I went to a lot. I helped, and my dad and I helped at a lot of Lyle Sankey rodeo schools. And so, anyway, I say that to say that's where the intern program, like, I still have the practice pen.
Yep.
And so that's where that all that originated, kind of started in Snook there. But
that's fun for you, isn't it?
oh, I love
You
it.
love that.
I
You know what I
love
mean?
it.
People tell me all the time, and my wife will tell me sometimes, "Hey, I'll be trying to book, clinics and get them lined out to where I like to leave and go do, go for 3 weeks and try to knock a bunch out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever." And she'll say, "Hey, we're lucky. We don't need it. We're fine. Don't worry about it." And I said, "Man, Jen, I like that." I still like doing it. You know, I like having kids at the net. You know, last year I roped here. I had 3 that had been in my clinics roping with me. And that's when I knew, it was like, hey, you're too old for this. You might not quit. You know, but I had
How
3
many a year
kids
do you
with me.
do?
I do about
Schools
20.
20? Mm-hmm. Is there a website they just check out? What's it?
JoeBeaver.com. Joe Beaver Roping, yeah. And like I start the first week of March in Benton, Arkansas. And we go pretty. I mean, don't get me wrong. We got a couple days off during travel days.
For sure.
But Nathan Steinberger, boy, has been with me since he drove for me, and I entered him when he was like 19 one year. But he roped with me forever. We'll start at Benton, and we'll go all through March, all through April. I'll be done that 3rd week of April, and then I'll start back east. I'll go back east the last week of May, 1st week of June, because it's warming up back there, And it's fun to see those guys. Like I was out there at the convention center today, and they're bringing by videos, show me they won their high school deal. Or if it's bad, I had a girl call me the other night, just upside down, and hey, wait a minute, we'll fix it. Martha and Sarah, Angela and sisters. I rode with them when they were from the time they're 10, probably in Virginia schools. Back there, I had a Virginia school back then, and even now, I can get a call 3:00 in the morning, and and Martha just, this shit ain't working, and what is wrong? I can't win it. And it's fun because it gives me a chance to fix them and help them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess that's where I'm at. It's
Gives you
rewarding.
purpose.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the TV just kind of picked it up, to where I can stay involved and stay. I don't want to be ignorant, so I enter enough to kind of watch and stay with it. And that's the fun for her.
Yeah, and I guess selfishly, and maybe there's an element that you might agree with, but I kind of live vicariously through them just a little bit.
You dang right.
Yeah.
You dang right.
But no, that's awesome. Well, cool. Man.
Did you ever go? Was Starlight Ballroom still going at Snook by then, or they had closed it? The bar with no top over there. Did they still have it?
I think he put the
Did he
cover
cover
was
it?
still there. He covered it.
Oh man!
And I went to a few. We would have some dances there after. But I want to say he put in a covered arena under.
Oh
that.
No, he did. He's got it covered now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know where the old arena runs? Like you pull
you're
in?
just saying when I was there.
Yeah, was the ballroom still there?
Yeah. It was. I mean, like we would have like some dances after the rodeo, but it wasn't like it was
when I was
back when you were
amateuring.
there.
You could get to Snook from any amateur rodeo in Texas for the slack because he roped the tie down dead last, and he would. It was separate from the perf, and it was 1 for 50, and then they would rope 1 for 40. And then if anybody else, they'd rope 1 for 40 again till it had to be over 15 entries before Kermit would stop it.
Yeah.
So we would rope, wherever Saturday night during and run 100 miles an hour to get to Snook.
Yeah.
And the bar would go till 2, and they would rope till they got the last one header out of their system.
Yeah.
That's where we made a lot of our.
I heard of and that was in the late 70s.
That was the early 80s when I was going.
I
But it
heard-
started in the 70s, late 70s. Through the early 80s, it was unbelievable the people there.
When I was in college, I was out there every day, and I messed with the rough stock. There was a team roper, became one of my best friends. Garrison Gable worked for Kermit
Yep.
also.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Garrison had a
Garrison.
bad head horse one time, a done head horse. Man, he was good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so me and Garrison got tight and went to Ray's funeral.
Yep.
Like I was around then. And but Kermit would always have some stories of back in the day. I remember now like sitting around the roping box, and we were
And like kind of like Charlie's deal in Lubbock. Mm-hmm. It was the spring before, because a lot of times we used to not go to California because they weren't that good. April we'd stay. We wouldn't leave we would usually leave the end of May if you went to Santa Maria and on before Reno, or you go Fort Smith, and then North Platte and then across. So we were down there.
Yeah.
So like before I got my card in '85, there was a lot of the guys that were there because it was an open jackpot. It was a rodeo, but it was open jackpot at night back when you couldn't have amateur and pro cards both. So you'd be there on Saturday night sometime, and man, it'd be like 5 of the top 15 be there in the roping, So that was the difference back then, though.
Yeah, it was a cool spot. Yeah, that was the place to be. There's a little bar in Snook called the Hole in the Wall.
Yeah,
Yeah, we would go there. We'd practice and go ride. Yeah, man.
Isn't it nice to look back and see that what you thought was a purpose has become a purpose. You thought
Yes.
coming along that was fun and you'd help people and you liked social media and you wanted, but you didn't know how to mesh it all together.
Yeah.
And now to look up and see that you've, in other words, I told this the other day to Kirkslager's boys over here at the sale. They've found, everyone has a niche, but you don't know where your niche is. Sometimes you don't find it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
I found mine. It was roping. And then luckily I stumbled into TV, and it was, in its clinics. I found a niche and I'm being able to keep going. Those boys were really talented and made the finals, but those boys are really good at that fraternity stuff, like Miles. Just like Miles, he found a niche. Trev had that niche planned forever, but it's fun to find it and see somebody be successful at it.
Yeah.
And it's just like what you've done. You found your niche and you're successful in it. That's what attracts me to guys like you.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate that part
No,
of it.
I
See?
appreciate that. I wanted rodeo so bad and so hard, and I still get on some, but about 9 years ago in Austin, I had one little accident, and it led to some surgeries, and every year I feel like God just has pressed pause on my career. But I was talking to Tilden about in Longview, I got on some bareback horses, but I got on a eliminator. You probably might have even heard of him, Cool Water.
Oh
Sammy
gosh.
Andrews. And I was
little bitty horse that just hops. Yeah, wrong.
big
Huge.
eliminator.
Yes.
And I was telling Tilden, and I was like, I don't know, maybe because I loved bronc riding, the most.
yeah.
But bareback, I was like, maybe I quit too early. Maybe I should have tried harder. And he just died laughing. He was like, no, I think you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
And it was almost insulting the way he laughed.
You almost wanted to say, wait a minute.
Wait, you're laughing way too hard, Tilden. But I did. I remember that moment, like along the point that you're making. I can just hear Tilden laughing and just saying, like, "No, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing."
Yeah.
But I do think that God has like put me in a spot, and I enjoy it. And there's no greater peace than when you find that.
Oh, isn't it enjoyable?
So peaceful.
You know what I mean? It's so enjoyable.
Still hard work.
No, it's you make it hard work because you want to be the best at this.
Yes, sir.
It's just like, I mean, hey man, if I still enter some and I go to the circuits and play, but it gets serious come like circuit finals time.
Oh,
because I don't want to go out there and look stupid because I'm
Right.
done. It's like I always told them about my title open. The day I was done, I knew I was done at Pinoca. I had the best one the first time and had hell. I was late getting to him. I didn't sit down. I couldn't.
Yeah.
And the next one, I had him bedded right there and strung, and I stepped out. And when I went to cross the legs, my body came and my legs stayed out there. And I was like, and I couldn't move it and I couldn't get off. And I had to pull this leg back over and I stood up. And when I walked out of the arena, I told him, I said, that's the last one. I'm done. I know I'm done because that was embarrassing. I was supposed to, they said, oh, it's no big deal, Joe B. They know you're old, you're crippled. And I said, no, that's what I'm talking about. And I did not run another calf for competition. That was in July? I was winning decent.
4th of July.
But that
rodeo.
was in July. And I did not run another calf in public in front of anyone until I run the last one at the American that year. And that was 2000, I don't know what it was, 9 or...
What year was that for Pinoca?
That'd have been 07. And then I think it was, I don't even remember what year it was. It wasn't 9. It must have been, I can't remember it might have been after we lost Brody because I'll run the, Trevor, matter of fact, one of the reasons is because I got that invite to the American. I was like, I don't know. And I was talking to Trevor one day about it, and I said, I think I'm going to run one more, but I got to get ready. And if I can't get ready, I'm not going to do it. And he said, hey, if you put your mind to it, you'll do it.
Yeah.
Because he knew I was. And but that little bit of that right there from a guy like him made me go ahead and try it.
Yeah.
And I run that last one that day, and I was too long. I was like 9-1 and 8-5 made the cut, but it was it was good for me. I was good. And I rode out arena. I remember I hung my string on the Prefert on top of the deal because I was it, no more. I'm not gonna do that in public ever again, probably, And Trevor went over and got my string, and then somebody said, hey, he might need that again. And he said, he don't need it again. And he knew it was time right there. But that's what guys do. If you listen, hey man, good or bad, we've all got a plan. It's just like to me, and we just lost a really an NFR mom, and a good friend of mine the other day died of cancer. We lost Julie Murphy. But I think we have a departure date and we have a birth date. And if it's not your day to go, you're not going to go that day. I should have been dead 3 times.
Yeah.
I've had 2 wrecks, total Freightliners. Freightliners are big. Totaled them out, 2 of them. And then I OD'd and was dead for 4 minutes. You're not supposed to come back. I mean, not that I'm not crazy, but you're not supposed to come back good at all for 4 minutes,
Yeah.
So I've had 3 shots at it, but it wasn't my time, And then I've been as high as you can be. I've had sports cars, access to planes. I've had money. I've had gold buckles all at once. I've had it all, and I've been as low as you can be. I had 2 of my buddies that I rodeo with. They got killed in a plane crash. That I had to go home and take all their stuff out of my house closets. They live with me. I had to call their parents, which is the worst thing ever. I've buried my own son, which is, I'm sure, the worst thing ever. I've had a boy, Brady Hillams, that lived with me from the time he didn't live with me. He stayed with my mom and dad, and they taught him to rope. And he stayed all the time from the time he was 10 till he came to college, and he lived right in my yard. We had him at place and about made the finals. I lost him. I've been as high and as low as a person can honestly be.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end there's a plan because I'm not gone yet.
Yeah.
So if I'm not gone yet, my departure date hadn't got here.
Yeah.
So until it does, I'm gonna let him have it. I'm gonna live his plan, but I'm gonna live life and I'm gonna enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah. Dang. We normally wrap these up with life advice, but I feel like that's what that was.
I'm not. You don't want my advice on life, because I tell everybody, and I'll tell you this too. Every day we wake up, and this is what was harder than me. And I'd already been way out. I'd been way out there for a couple of years. I lived on the edge, and then everything got good. But I tell everybody, when I lost Brody, the hardest thing I ever had to do was make a choice what guy I was going to be, because all of a sudden I had the money to live however I wanted to live. I had this connection still that I could make a phone call and a plane pick me up and they'd never find me again. Whether I lived or died, I'd have had fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or do I want to be a better person, because that's what half the people are expecting anyway? And do I want to do that to Brody and his legacy and all the kids I've helped? All of a sudden, do I want to just crap on it and be that other guy? So for a long time, I'd wake up in the morning and say, hey, that's a door for me to walk out of. An old man told me one time, after I was going through pretty hard, I was battling pretty hard because I still was looking over the fence pretty good. I thought I can leave all this shit. They can deal with this shit. You know what I mean? And an old man told me, and knew me really well. He said, I saw him one day in town, and he said, you doing all right, Joe B? I said, yeah, I'm good. He said, you sure got a funny look in your eye again. And I'd known him a long time, and I said, nah, that's just no sleep. And he said, no. He said, I got to remind you of something. And I said, what's that? He said, and it's Howard Rogers, the guy that took care of me forever. He died this year. And I said, what's that, Howard Mack? And he said, man, you look at that windshield? And I said, what? He said, look at that windshield in your truck. And I said, I know, it's a windshield. He said, big, isn't it? That's a big windshield. I said, yeah. He said, look at that rearview mirror. See how little it is? And I said, yeah. He said, you can't change nothing behind you. But every day, that's a new life if you go through that windshield looking big. And that was it for me. I was like, you can't be that guy. You got to go on and do good. You got to do whatever's good you can do and help people and live a good life and live every day like it's the last, because you never know.
Dang, yeah.
And that's the fun of life too, isn't it? I mean, also, we don't know what's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you got so many kids you've run through there now. It's fun to find out where they're going and what they're doing, right? So that's for tomorrow. That's tomorrow for you.
Like I've heard the windshield analogy, and I've heard people talking and saying that, but like coming from with the story you just described, like that is it's just different when you hear it with that set of.
And it made a lot of sense from that guy knowing me, because he knew. I mean, I was having, JD Tadlock's one of my best friends ever, and he came down there and he stayed 4 or 5 days extra. And I said, JD, I'm good. You can go home. He said,
Yeah.
He said, you don't look, you ain't got a good look. And it wasn't that I was trying to run away from it, but I knew if I ran away, I'd take care of stuff. I'd take care of me, good or bad. It was going to be bad, But that's when God steps in and says, hey, dumbass, I'm giving you a chance here.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a choice and a chance. And that's why I tell them kids, call me. You know, I have kids call me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They'll call me before they call mom and dad if they get towed in jail or something in town, because they know I ain't going to judge them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to help them get out. Then we'll call mom and dad in the morning or later. We'll try to make things good. Yeah. But if you need me, call me, because you think I'm going to judge somebody the way I've lived? And I remember the funniest thing ever. You'll get a kick out of this, because now that you got and you've been around Trevor enough, I'll see how faithful that guy is and stuff, right?
Right.
So I remember one time we're at Pueblo, Colorado, right? I hadn't been married 2 months. I don't know, not long. Jenna's at home. It's me and Fred and Brent Lewis and Cliff Williamson from Canada. And we go to the Silver Saddle Bar after the perf one night, right? We hadn't seen each other. We've been going here, there, and yonder, so we hadn't seen Cliff, and I hadn't seen Fred, and we just all go in there. We're going to shoot pool and drink, have a big time. Well, we get in a big fight with the wild horse racing teams. I didn't know that there was 3 on a team and there's 5 teams every night. So I'm telling you, when we fought, we fought for our lives for a long. If it wasn't for Hadley Barrett and Randy Corley, they got out of there and got their. Hadley had no Cadillac, and he pulled it to the back door. You know where it says, emergency exit. It'll make noise if you. And Corley kicked that door in, and our alarms went off, and we got out the back door. We fought for our lives now to get out of there. It was a fight, and Fred's handy. Brent was supposed to be handy, but they knocked him out. He wasn't handy. So the next morning, Willard Moody, a good friend of mine, helped me a lot when I was going through all that bad stuff and getting off the drugs and trying to straighten up and stuff. Willard was a big help spiritually. He was doing a church service at Pueblo. So we wake up, and I'm telling you, man, I have got a scar right across there. Hit me with a pool stick, and my eyes swole up. I look just like I got a forehead out to here. And I'm telling you, Brent's got a doozy right here. He is just swole. They knocked the out of him. And I'm getting him. I said, "Get up, man, get up," because he knew Willard really good. What? I said, "We gotta go to church, dude. We can't go like this." I said, "Well, number one, we ain't hiding from him. He saw us. He knew what the hell went on. And number two, if we ain't there, Willard's gonna know something's up. I'm going." Oh God, I said, "Let's go." So I got my sunglasses on. It ain't helping much. You know what I mean? Got my cap pulled. It ain't helping for no shit. So we go up there and we sit in the stand. And I look down the bleachers, and there's about 7 of them guys. And hey, a couple of them got their heads wrapped with gauze, and and this one's got a cut from here to here, And I'm thinking, we're going to fight in church. We're going to fight. And Willard Moody walks down through there, and he puts his Bible on some deal, and he turns around and he says, "Oh my, y'all had a good Saturday night, didn't you?" And that was all he said. No judgment, no nothing. And I was telling myself right then, I said, "You're never going to hide from that guy."
Yeah.
Those guys' opinions sitting around me at church that day did not matter, because Willard, he didn't judge me. He's not going to judge me, and later on in life, he gives me 3 chances to live again. So I'm going to live like I'm going to live, good or bad, and I'm going to walk through life.
Yeah.
And from then on, I was like, whatever, because you're not going to hide. You're not going to hide. You're you.
Yeah.
You know them people out there judge you? They don't know you.
Right.
I think the greatest thing ever right now for Rocker, and I love Rocker Steiner. I'm a Rocker Steiner fan.
Same.
Sid and I are great friends. We go way back. The greatest thing I think Rocker Steiner ever did lately is podcast and letting people see who he really is. Mm-hmm. He's a good kid with a good heart, comes from a good family with a passion to win. Mm-hmm. If you judge that bad, judge me bad all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I love it. Well, I appreciate it. I know you got to get to the Thompson.
Hey, I'll do any, and we'll do any kind you want to do.
Yeah.
But I would do it any time with you.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it with everybody in the world. But it's funny because people don't bring it across sometimes like real. That's why I watch a lot of people before I do. It's like Kendra. I talked to Kendra used to on interviews, and I wouldn't talk to many others because it wouldn't come out the same. But you do a great job, and you're doing a great thing for the Western industry, and anything I can do to help, you know how to get me.
Yes, sir. Well, my friend in here that you met earlier, she was asking me like how I pick guests, and I was like, if I'm sincerely interested in that person, that's how,
Yep.
like
Yep.
I've got some cowboys on here that don't have social media, like Lord willing, we get Dana White here in a couple of days. Well, like I'm interested.
You bet.
He is a kind of a celebrity, and so like a lot of people might want to hear it, but I'm sincere. Like I love and rodeo, and I've said it before. I think calf ropers they're dang sure more cowboy than roughies.
Yeah, it's hard.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? It's a deal where you gotta.
It's a cowboy
It
event.
is. It is. And I tell everybody, I said, the hardest part I think of winning continuously roping calves is I'm gonna tell you, your body takes some.
Yeah.
Because I remember one time when I first started having a lot of trouble with my growing on my right side and stuff. See, back then they didn't know. It was pelvis. My pelvis had cracked and rotated.
Yeah.
And I kept pulling it and pulling. They didn't, it hurt all the time, And I'd get on a horse, Dale, and like I'd feel tight.
Yeah.
And I move back and forth, saddle, squeeze, and pop, it'd pop. And then it'd feel, oh man, it felt good. Then I could open my legs up. Well, we didn't know, you know what I'm saying? I had a cracked pelvis for years.
Dang.
So I tell them all the time, I said, I told Jenna one day, we was married 4 or 5 years, and I was having hell sitting on the turn. I said, man, I'm going to get that guy. I had a buddy of mine play football at Sam Houston, and they wanted me to come do some talks a couple times. So I got to know the trainer. One of the trainers, hey, come out here and help me because there's something I'm not doing right. I need to exercise this a different way or something, right? So I put a calf near the rope, and I'll run down there and flank, step across him. I do that about 3 times, and he's looking at me, he says, hey, I can't tell you to do what you do with them, but yeah, I've never seen all muscles. I've never seen so many muscles fire in 5 seconds in my life. Because he said you run, you stop, you pick up, you rotate, you sit, you step all the way out, you sublux your hip. He said then you rotate it and you squeeze. He said I can't find a machine or exercise to do that.
Hey, that's all after you've ridden
Got
the
off,
horse.
that's right.
And
That's
roped the
right.
calf and
Yep.
done all of that.
Yeah.
That's after you
That's
did
exactly right. Yeah, he said, hey, I'm gone. So you keep tying.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Like you got to rope, stop the horse.
Yeah, and take that hitting the ground.
You're tied off.
You sir. Did you see Tom Krause last night hang his finger in the reins? Like
No.
he jerked his hand
No,
off.
I went to a UFC fight last night.
Oh, I don't blame you. Who was fighting? Good? Was it good? or
Yeah,
no?
it was pretty. I'm learning, but being friends with
Yeah.
Cowboy. But I didn't get to watch a rodeo.
He ropes one right there and he gets off. He's got long range with a bubble. Dude, it wrapped around and somehow got in and it jerked him almost down. And he jerks it trying to get out. He can't get loose. And this horse goes running back and it's dragging him. He cannot get his finger out of that.
Oh, dang, I gotta
Hey,
look at that.
he said that's some day was that big around.
Golly.
I can remember after knee surgeries, I can remember running 5 or 6 calves and my dad just opened the gate. I'd run, rope them, and I couldn't get off. I couldn't make myself get off, because I remember the last time when I hit, pow, and tear it, and just, it'd take 3 or 4, he finally said, you got to get off, boy.
You just freeze.
I just get in the stirrup and just lock down.
Yeah.
He said, you got to get off. Because it's like, to me, it's just like last night. Rocker, Boo, Cooper Cook, and there was one more. Dude, they hit, D. When I tell you they hit.
I did watch the bareback ride.
Did you
I
see
did
them?
get to see
Did
that.
you see the
Golly,
hits? Now,
eliminators.
I'm talking about, now listen, you know what tough is to me? And mental strength? It's running that hand in there at night, not thinking about that
Not
land.
thinking about it.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
To me,
100%.
that's due respect right there, cuz.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell them all, I said, you hit like that, it's like a bulldog timed event. We'd be running 1,000 miles an hour. And if you take a doozy at that sunbuck, and then they say, but that hazer says, here, go get him with the horse by yourself. You're like, I'm not doing shit,
Yeah.
But that's what I like about winners.
Yeah, I think calf ropers are the most cowboy. And I think if you're going to fight anybody in rodeo, bareback riders should be last on the list.
Right, because you'd have to kill them.
Those are the 2. That's my hot
Yep,
take.
I'm with you.
Well, I appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it immensely.
Yes,
I hope
sir.
it's what you wanted.
No, that's
And if it wasn't, we'll do it again.
No, that was perfect.
Next time,
Very
we'll do it
much.
right.
Yes,
Okay?
Thank you so much.